All right, everybody, welcome back to Make Your Mark Sports Discussions with your boy Mark here again. Today, I wanted to go over my predictions on who I believe should make the All-NBA teams this year. And I wanted to get this out the way before they announce them because I'm sure they will be announcing them pretty soon. So I'm going to get right into it. So starting in the backcourt, I'm going to go with Luka Doncic, number one. And I know that might be debatable. Some people might say, what about Ja Morant? To me, it is very close, but I would give Luka the slight edge. I think he had a slightly better overall season than Ja Morant did, but it is close. And he also did play 8 more games than Ja Morant. So I would give him just the slightest edge overall. Luka finished the season averaging over 28 points per game, 9 rebounds, 8.5 assists, shot about 45.5%, which could have been a bit better, but like I said, overall, I think just he had a more well-rounded season than Ja did. But I would not be mad if somebody were to debate against that. But I would have him starting in the backcourt. And also, let me not forget to mention that the Dallas Mavericks finished with the 4th best record in the Western Conference as well. So I would have him alongside Devin Booker in the backcourt. Devin Booker for the Phoenix Suns, who averaged about 27 points per game this year, 5 rebounds and 5 assists, on a team that had the best record in the NBA. Now, the only thing with him that you could probably say against him is that he did miss 14 games, but, he still went out there and played 68 games this year, and he was the leading scorer on the team that won 64 games, had the best record in the NBA. So I feel like there's no way that you can't reward him with a first-team nod with a season like that, playing on the team that led the league in wins. And then we not forget to mention also that he did maintain a shooting average of 46.5%, which is a little bit down for him in comparison to his last couple seasons where he shot over 48%. But to me, that was still good enough to keep him in that slot, just in my opinion. With that being said, let's move to the front court. So at the forward spot, I'm going to have to put Jayson Tatum there without a shadow of a doubt. The Celtics finished with the 2nd best record in the Eastern Conference this year. Jayson Tatum led the way, averaging 27 points per game, 8 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and was one of the better defenders in the NBA this year as well. So I think that he definitely deserves a starting spot on the All-NBA first team as a forward. And joining him, alongside of him, at the other forward position would be Giannis Antetokounmpo, who averaged 30 points per game this year on 55% shooting, over 11 rebounds, and over 5.5 assists. While, as usual, again, as it's been the past 4 seasons, was an MVP candidate and also was one of the best defensive players in the NBA this season again, while leading the Bucks to the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. All right, so now at the center position, which is the most controversial position, I think, this season, who should be starting on the All-NBA first team, and also who's going to get the MVP award between Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid. In my personal opinion, the answer is Nikola Jokic. It is close, no doubt about it. But Nikola Jokic, who won the MVP last year, came back even better this year, averaging a little bit over 27 a game, almost 14 rebounds, 8 assists, and was also a much better overall team defender than people give him credit for. I'm not saying that he is on the level of Joel Embiid on defense, but he is much better than people give him credit for. He's not a bad defender. He's just not a standout defender. Also, he did everything his team asked of him, was the best all-around player in the NBA this year, in my opinion, and helped lead the Nuggets to the 6th seed in the Western Conference, again, without their 2nd best player, Jamal Murray. So, in my opinion, it's a slight edge to Jokic, but it is close, and it definitely is debatable. So, that's my All-NBA first team right there. Now, let's move on to the second team. All right, so starting in the backcourt, I'm going to go with Ja Morant from the Memphis Grizzlies. And as I explained earlier, if he had not missed as much time this year, there would have definitely been a chance that he could have made the first team. But he did miss 25 games. He did have a phenomenal season when he played, and he put the Grizzlies in great position as well to succeed. They finished with the 2nd best record in the West. They also did hold it down without him, which is credit to their role players and the coaching they have as well. But I will give credit to Ja Morant as well for what he did when he was on the court, averaging over 27 points, 5.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, leading the charge on that young up-and-coming Memphis Grizzlies squad, while maintaining a dominant shooting average of over 49% from the field this year as well. So that's who I would have to start off the second team in the backcourt. And joining him in the backcourt alongside of him would be Steph Curry for the Golden State Warriors, who missed a good portion of the season at the end as well. He missed 18 games in total. And by his standards, he did have a down season. He did average over 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists, which is consistent with a lot of the averages he's had throughout his career. But his shooting percentage was much lower than usual. He only shot about 43%, and he shot under 40% from 3, and which is almost unusual for Steph Curry. As great as he is, for anybody else, that's a great season, shooting from 3. But for him, that's a down season, which is incredible. But he would still get a starting nod on the All-NBA second team for sure. The Warriors finished with the number 3 seed in the West this year. So I would have him joining Ja Morant. And moving on to the forwards position. Even though for the most part of his career he's played shooting guard, this year DeMar DeRozan was a forward. At times he also was listed as a power forward when the Bulls were playing a small ball lineup. But he would definitely get the nod at the forward position as one of the forwards on the second team. He had his best season overall in his career, no doubt about it. Averaging 28 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, while shooting over 50%. He was highly efficient. And of course, the Bulls did have a few injuries this year to Lonzo Ball. Also, Zach LaVine missed some time, Alex Caruso. Yet they still were able to grab the 6th seed in the East. So I will give DeMar DeRozan his credit for how he was able to lead the team this year. And he definitely gets the nod as one of the starting forwards on the second team. Alongside him at the forward position, I'm going to put in Kevin Durant, who only played 55 games this year. But when he was on the court, he did have a phenomenal season, averaging nearly 30, 7.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, while shooting 52%. He was great when he was healthy this year. And the Nets did qualify to make the playoffs as the 7th seed. So I think he deserves credit for that. And I will put him in there at that slot. And then at the center position, of course, like I said before, some people can debate that he should be on the first team. But I got Nikola Jokic on the first team. So for the second team, I definitely have Joel Embiid, who definitely deserves consideration to potentially be the MVP this year. Was a great defensive player, averaged over 30.5 points per game. Led the league in scoring, by the way, 11.5 rebounds, 4 assists, while shooting 50% overall, leading the Sixers to the 4th seed in the East. He definitely deserves the starting spot on the second team at center, no doubt about it. And like I said, you can make a case that he could potentially be on the first team. It's very close. I got him on the second team. All right, so that rounds out the second team. So we're going to move on to the third team now. So to start off in the backcourt for the third team, I'm going to go with Chris Paul, who helped co-lead the Phoenix Suns alongside Devin Booker to the best record in the NBA. Led the league in assists this year with nearly 11 a game. Averaged over 14.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and shot an efficient 49%. And as usual, had one of the best assist-to-turnover ratios in the NBA again this year. Joining him in the backcourt is Trae Young for the Atlanta Hawks, who was able to get the Hawks into the play-in tournament this year and was able to get them into the playoffs as the 8th seed. Had his best season thus far, averaging 28 points per game, over 9.5 assists, 3.5 rebounds, and shot a career best 46%, and also a career best from 3 at 38%. So shout out to Trae Young for having one of his best seasons and helping his team get to the playoffs. At the forward spots, I'm going to start with Pascal Siakam for the Toronto Raptors, who had a great season as the lead player on that squad. The Raptors finished with the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference this year, and a big part of that was due to his play. He averaged nearly 23 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and shot a little bit over 49% overall from the field this year. So he had a great season and helped the Raptors get back on track. All right, so now joining him at the other forward spot for the third team, I had to think about this for a while. LeBron James statistically did have another dominant season for him. But at the same time, it is hard for me to put a player on an All-NBA team that did not make the playoffs, no matter how dominant you were. I feel like it can come off as a slap in the face to other teams, other players on teams that did qualify to make the playoffs. So as much as I would like to maybe put him on there, I had to really think about that. I think for now, me personally, I would probably have to throw in Jimmy Butler. And I know that Jimmy Butler also did miss a lot of games this year. Him and LeBron played almost the same amount of time. But Jimmy Butler, when he was playing, he had a high impact on his team, and his team was winning. And they finished with the first seed in the Eastern Conference. So I'm going to have to show respect to Jimmy Butler. That's just me. And give him the nod on the third team. Like I said, it's hard for me to put a player on there that did not even qualify to make the playoffs. That's just my opinion. So I'm going to have to give Jimmy Butler the nod as the other forward on the third team. Jimmy Butler this season averaged 21.5 points, 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists. Was one of the best defensive players again in the NBA this year. And also shot 48% overall. He was the best player and the leader of his team this season. And like I said, they finished with the best record in the East, even though he did miss some time. So that would be the only knock against him. And last but not least, at center, I'm going to have KarlAnthony Towns, who had a standout season. The Timberwolves did finish as the 7th seed in the Western Conference. He finished the season averaging over 24.5 points, nearly 10 rebounds, 3.5 assists, shot 53% overall, and also shot 41% from 3 as a big man. So he was incredible this year. So that rounds out my All-NBA teams list. Let me know if y'all agree or disagree in the comments section. And once again, I appreciate all the love and support I've been getting from my channel thus far. And for everybody that's just tuning in now, I just want to let you know again that on my Instagram, which is trademark with 5 underscores at the end, we go live and do a podcast every Friday at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So tune into that. It's always a great conversation. So if you get a chance, make sure you catch us on Instagram. I hope everybody has a blessed day. All glory be to God. Thank you again.